Hey, what is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video on the channel. Well, of course, in today's video, we are taking a look at Cardano. Now, we did, of course, see this approach of this key level of resistance last night, as this was going to be one of the most important times in which we may be looking at a breakout to the upside into a continuation to retrace those all-time highs. Well, what do you know? Just as cryptos and ADA and pretty much all of them started to approach that key level of resistance that would entail a pretty big breakout, we did get some good old China FUD. China's central bank says all cryptocurrency related transactions are illegal. This guy says dumping your Bitcoin bags due to China FUD historically has a 0% win rate. And my thing is, they have done this dozens of times at this point. We've at least seen 20 times that China has watched this thing, watched certain levels, Bitcoin, Ethereum, all these cryptos approach these key important areas, and we see China FUD. It happens so often, and we've called it out so many times on the channel. This is just another one of those times, okay? Now, the good thing about it is we can see that it's starting to have less and less of an effect on prices. You know, you look at Cardano, for example. Cardano is already starting to see some recovery, and so are so many other cryptos. And so with that, of course, you know, let's pay attention. Let's see what the price does, and let's talk about this pretty bullish pattern that's actually forming on the ADA charts. So in the last video, we talked about this possible inverse head and shoulders pattern playing out. Now, whenever we started to approach and set this high here, when we started to pull back, we said, look for this right shoulder to get formed. Now, we saw this little dip here, and then we saw a retest. And I said, if we were able to retest and clear this trend line, we can confirm that as that shoulder. But typically speaking, we need to see a little bit more steep. Like, we need to see a little bit more steep of a fall here to allow our RSIs to pull back to some of these more oversold territories, as well as our stock RSI to have more room for potential upside growth, okay? Because you got to remember, when we are going to go up, say if we are going to clear this trend line, if we're going to clear that shoulder line, boom, right here, we need to see that we have room on our RSI and room on our stock RSI to grow from that breakout, because from there we got to establish some support, and boom, we have high breakout targets right here, right? And so if we're already seeing this mini pullback to establish a right shoulder, and we don't have much room to grow at all, likelihood is there's not going to be much of an ability to climb through that breakout point, okay? And so the fact that we have now come down, allowed that right shoulder to form, we see that RSI pulling back a little bit. We can see that we have this space here now. Let's kind of pull that up. There we go. We have this a little bit more space in comparison to when we were here, as well as our stock RSI being back down into this oversold territory. We can see that now we could definitely be looking at the interaction and the playing out of this inverse head and shoulders. So what we're looking to see happen right now is we want to see again the breakout of this trend line. Now, based off of, just your typical breakout targets for an inverse head and shoulder, what you're going to do is take the distance from that exact trend line right here all the way down to your swing low, wherever that bottom is of that head. You're then going to take that and apply it to wherever. Let's pull these down a little bit. You're going to apply that. There we go. Okay, you're just going to apply it to wherever your breakout may be. So say if in about 4 or 5 hours we see a breakout of that trend line, all you're going to do is apply that distance, and boom, that's your breakout target. So currently speaking, say if we were to break out in about 4 or 5 hours from now, I mean, we could definitely be having a technical target of back up to $2.70. Now, one thing we also have to pay attention to, though, is that we do again have this key level of resistance that we've been getting rejected at twice now. Okay. Now, of course, this is going to be our 0.618 to 0.786 Fibonacci retracement level coming up off of our swing high down to our swing low. And let's go our most recent swing high. There we go. Boom, this one. So as you can see, coming up off this swing high, boom, down to the swing low, it creates a 0.786 at $2.44. Now that's going to be our 786 level, and that is going to be a key indicator of if we are going to be looking at some type of breakout to the upside. Typically speaking, when we're able to clear that 786 off a swing high to swing low, there's a high likelihood for us to retest that high that we are going off of. So in this example, $2.60. So I think if we're able to not only clear this trend line, but then break through that $2.44 to $2.45 region, definitely be looking for a nice climb to the upside. That could be a nice short-term trade up to about, say, right in the middle, somewhere around $2.65, or it could be a great purchasing opportunity in my non-financial advisor opinion, of course, to look at a possible breakout to the upside. Now, the only way in which we would see this entire thing being invalidated, the only time in which we could see that this inverse head and shoulders is not happening and that we're looking at some type of rollover here, is if we come back down to lose $2. Now, of course, $2 is going to inherently be a very important level in terms of, just general prices, right? $1, $2, $3, etc. But if we do go from the low in which we created back here to the high in which we created, we can see that our bottom side 0.786 is sitting right at $2. What that means is that even if we retrace all the way back down to it, as long as we stay above it, there's still a good chance of us reversing. Because remember, when you clear that 786 on the downside, just like to the upside, there's a good chance of you coming back down to retest that low. And we don't want to see this thing falling back down to 190 because I'm not sure if we would be able to recover from that in the short term. So as long as we stay above $2 right now, look for us to start to work our way back up to about $2.45. Look at this trend line, and if we're able to break it, of course, we do have that technical inverse head and shoulders here, in which we have that breakout target back up to about $2.70. So overall, that's what I'm seeing from ADA. Nothing too crazy, nothing too big. It honestly is recovering very well from this drop that we saw right here, and so definitely look for it to retest this trend line pretty soon here, as well as finding some possible resistance around $2.33. Of course, I will update you guys as soon as we do see a move, as soon as we do see something important, but pay close attention to these levels as I think that they will be incredibly important, and I'll see you all next time. Peace.